Welcome comrades and happy 1984 day. If watching on any other day than April 4th, then simply greetings from a live man. Clumsy references aside, I thought I'd celebrate this special day in 1984 lore and history by expanding on my own thoughts about just why Winston chose to keep a diary in the book. One of the more iconic elements of George Orwell's novel is his protagonist's opening of his diary, and of course the very day he opened it was April 4th. I personally believe that the overarching reason why Winston used a diary in particular was because it was the safest option to express his many thoughts and frustrations about his society. He obviously couldn't record his words using a speakwrite. Having close friends to confide in is also very dangerous, even inviting denunciation, given he would effectively be making the friend a thought criminal too. Even something as normal and simple as mumbling or talking to oneself is a habit that Winston himself regards as dangerous, given the ubiquity of microphones and telescreens. That Winston can write too, though he doesn't very often, apart from small notes when working, also makes keeping a diary a natural choice as well. On his choice of the diary, he describes how he thought that actually writing things down would be the easy part, given he had already had an interminable inner monologue running through his head literally for years. Another interesting dimension too is expressed by Winston a bit later on when recounting his visit to a prole lady of the night. He had hoped that recounting his tale, writing it down, would help him to relieve the strong urge to swear and to physically lash out. He reveals that he had had the distinct urge to hit or do some violent thing. After writing down his experience with the prole woman, however, he finds that the so-called therapy had not worked. This is a key insight into why he does it then, simply as a kind of valve, a release for the incessant pressure of his thoughts and feelings, unnaturally caged within what he believes is the relative safety of his skull. Incidentally, one of the more horrific revelations later on in Mini-Love is that even these thoughts are not unnoticed by the thought police, Winston saying that they had watched him for 7 years, and, as well as recording his movements and such, they had even been able to infer his thoughts, which is a creepy thought for us, and a demonstration of the degree of control the party exercises in this totalitarian society. Later, Winston himself adds another layer to his reasoning too, settling on O'Brien as his intended audience, which later on actually becomes a reality. He had thought perhaps those people of the future may be his audience, but reasons that since either the future will resemble his time, and so they wouldn't listen to him, or it would not resemble his time, and so not understand or care about his thoughts, his focus naturally settles upon O'Brien, who at this point in the story he desperately hopes shares his unorthodox stance against the party. How common keeping a diary is rather speculative. However, given it's a decent, if still risky way of expressing one's thoughts, and it's also likely that similar plants to Charrington exist providing the tools with which to do this, I imagine that it isn't that uncommon. It certainly proves helpful for the thought police later on when dissecting Winston's mind for his time in Mini-Love. Aside from these in-universe considerations, there are also clear out-universe or meta explanations too for Orwell's use of the diary. One obvious one that stands out for me, and likely other fans of the pre-1984 novel We, is that Orwell was heavily influenced by Yevgeny Zamyatin's work. In We, the character D503 is tasked with keeping a journal, though in this work, D503 is not doing so secretly, but actually at the order of his world's Big Brother equivalent, known as the Benefactor. Indeed, this account of the character is to be sent to other worlds to show the greatness of one state and their own system. Though obviously an influence, however, there are key differences. The similarities and differences between these works are a fascinating subject in and of itself that I'll likely explore in the future. However, it suffices to say here that We may have been the genesis or key influence for the idea in Orwell's own novel. So if we was perhaps the big influence, and the common sense and plot reasons in universe were why a diary was used, what about the particular date of its opening? Well, for me, April 4th has a couple of reasons. Firstly, the month of April is early enough in the year for most of the events of the novel to take place within the year of the novel's title. I also believe that April 4th specifically ties into the title year too. April is, of course, the 4th month, and with the 4th day, the two numbers add up to 8, or 8 and 4, 84. Those are my thoughts anyway on why Winston opens a diary in the novel, and why Orwell may have chosen April 4th as the opening day too. But what do you think? Was Winston's using of a diary just arbitrary, or did the character and its creator have specific reasons for its use? Tell us all your thoughts in the comments section, and remember, Big Brother is watching you.